Hold on a second, guys. Surfshark is sponsoring this video today, and I need to make sure I look as legit as possible. Hey everyone, welcome back. And if you're new to my channel, my name is Scott. I am the founder and author of SANspotter.com, and I create airline and travel content. Anyway, for those who are returning, you'll remember in my last video where I talked about the 5 worst airline meals that I've ever eaten. And today, I'm going to redeem myself and stop being so negative, and I'm going to talk about the 5 best airline meals that I've ever had. As a reminder, I've flown well over 1 million miles up to this point in my life, and I've eaten a lot of airline food, both good and bad, so we're going to stay on the positive side of the spectrum and talk about all the airline meals that are memorable to me. Going way back, and again, like the last video though, most of these are from the last 2 or 3 years. I think there's one from about 4 years ago, so fairly recent. But I think that just means I'm becoming more picky as I get older. I don't know. So I'm just going to stay overall positive today, and I think some of these on this list you're going to agree with me on. And if you've been watching my content over the past 2 years or 3 years maybe, you might know exactly the meals I'm going to be talking about. But like I said, if you're new to the channel, this is going to be kind of interesting. I've got a couple wild cards in here that you're not going to expect at all, mostly because I never talked about these in the past, but when I think back to the best meals that I've ever eaten, these are the ones that kind of percolate up to the top over and over again, and yeah. So there are a couple things that I need to say before jumping into this list. Number one being, no, it's not going to be an entire list filled with chicken and rice. I mean, if you've been watching my content, you know that I have this thing for chicken and rice, and I just seem to go off on any meal that has chicken and rice as the main course, but there's only one in this list that is chicken and rice. And the second thing is that I'm trying to keep this list fairly high level. I don't want to break it down by first class, premium economy, business class, whatever. I'm just going to lump it all together into one big list because I don't know, I just think it's more fun that way because it keeps the list a lot more interesting and a little bit more dynamic, a lot more varied. And yeah, so enough of me yapping. Let's just get right into the list of the best airline meals that I have ever eaten. Coming in at number 5, ASEAN Airlines A380 business class from Los Angeles to Seoul in January 2017. Now, just for a bit of context, I flew ASEAN first class on the A380 approximately 6 months before this particular flight, and I already knew it was going to be good, and my expectations were really, really high, which is dangerous when stepping into a business class experience because you just tend to set yourself up for failure and disappointment, but not so much in this case. Anyway, the meal in itself was spectacular. I ordered the Korean option, which was huge. It came in courses. They started with an appetizer at first, then came some soup, and then came the main course after that, which consisted of an entire tray of Korean deliciousness. It was amazing. There was a little bowl of rice and beef, I believe, then kimchi, of course, and then all of the condiments that came with it, and it was great. I think of all the business class flights that I've ever had, all the meals that I've ever eaten in business class, this was definitely worthy of being in my top 5. And the service from the cabin crew was absolutely amazing, which actually helps to bump up my overall score of the experience, just because, you know, service is good, and if the cabin crew can deliver it with a smile and take the time to explain everything and get you what you need and make sure you're happy, it just makes it great. And yeah, a solid number 5 for me. Okay, before going any further, I just want to give a quick shout out to Surfshark for sponsoring this video. If you guys don't know who Surfshark is, I'm disappointed. Anyway, they are an amazing VPN service, award-winning by the way, which will encrypt all your data to and from your devices so that nobody can see what you're doing online. Anyway, since this is a top 5 list video, I thought it might be kind of fun to list down the things that I personally like about Surfshark. Coming in at number 4, it's extremely easy to use. Just download the app, open it, select a virtual server, and voila! You're instantly connected and safe from the bad guys. Coming in at number 3 is that it unlocks blocked content. Now, this is a big deal, especially if you're a fan of Tiger King and you're in a country where you can't get access to it. Simply open Surfshark, change your location to the US, and you instantly have access to one of the weirdest documentaries of our time. My second most favorite thing about Surfshark? It just sounds cool. Hey man, what VPN do you use? And finally, the number one reason why I like Surfshark is a big one. I can actually use it to find better deals on flights. For example, if I'm booking a flight from, say, Penang to Kuala Lumpur here in the US, I am very likely to be presented with a list of higher fares than I would be if I changed my location to Malaysia. Malaysia has a lower cost of living than we do here in the US, and airfares are reflected in that. So if you're looking for a flight in Malaysia, you're bound to see lower fares. So for this reason alone, Surfshark pays for itself in a major way, and since I like saving money, it's always going to have a place on all my devices. Anyway, I've teamed up with Surfshark to offer you guys an incredible deal. So check this out. You get 85% off your entire subscription, but not only that, you get 3 months free, which is incredible for what this app can do for you. And I wouldn't be promoting it if I didn't use it myself. Anyway, you can get access to this deal by clicking the link in the description below. Remember to use the promo code SCOTT, and trust me, you're gonna love it. I highly recommend it. And yeah, thanks once again to Surfshark for sponsoring this video. Coming in at number 4, Japan Airlines. It was, see, what was this? I believe it was a 737-800 from Narita to Beijing in January 2018. Just completely unexpected. I was not expecting this to be a great flight at all. It was a tag-on to a flight from San Diego to Narita in business class, which was phenomenal, by the way. And just to think that this short hop from Narita to Beijing had better food in it than the business class flight from San Diego to Narita is just mind-blowing. Don't get me wrong, the food on the San Diego to Narita segment was amazing, but I guess I just lowered my expectations too much for the tag-on flight to Beijing, and I was blown away, essentially. So what happened was I was one of 2 or 3 people in business class, just a 737. There was maybe, I think, 16 seats up in business class or first business class. And the service from the cabin crew was amazing, as typical Japan Airlines. Just it always is. I've never had a bad flight on JAL. And if I'm being honest, I was just expecting a small bento box of something, something Japanese, maybe some fish, maybe some pickles, some rice, and some miso soup. I would have been perfectly happy with that. I'm a very simple guy, but it was everything I expected times 10. The portions were huge. Everything was incredibly fresh. And as a matter of fact, that's the thing that I remember from this meal. It wasn't the best tasting meal that I've ever had, but it was the quantity and the freshness of it. It almost seemed as if it was prepared from scratch up in the galley, which I know it wasn't, but I don't know how they're doing it. But it was really good, and everything was just perfect. Perfect temperature, perfect taste, perfect texture. Amazing. And to this day, I can't even really imagine how a flight like that somehow ended up on my list of my all-time favorite airline meals ever. Amazing. Speaking of Japanese airlines and Japanese culture, I'd like to bring your attention to my newest patron, Kaz. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce your name yet, which is weird because we just did a collaboration together. But anyway, long story short, if you're not following Kaz right now, link in the description below. He's got excellent airline reviews. He's from Japan. Like I said, we did a collaboration together recently. He's going to be posting it to his channel very soon. It was awesome. He blew me away the way that he did this. It's really funny. It's really good. Go subscribe to him. You're going to get to see that. Highly recommend it. Okay, moving right along. Number 3 on my list is Turkish Airlines economy class from Chicago to Istanbul in, I believe it was August 2018. Now, I really hate admitting this, but prior to this flight, my expectations of Turkish Airlines were somewhat low. I had never flown this airline before. I hadn't necessarily heard bad things, but on the flip side, I had never necessarily heard good things as well, so I was expecting it to be a typical economy class experience. Nothing great, nothing bad, and more than anything, I was just looking forward to trying a new airline. But what I got was the best economy class meal up until that point in my life on that particular flight. What the heck? Turkish Airlines economy class. And the fact that it's even on this list is an amazing thing because the service kind of sucked, if I'm being honest. So basically, we took off from Chicago. We were in the air for 2, maybe 3 hours. The sun was coming up, and I still had not received my dinner yet. And they were taking their sweet ass time. And I was the last person to be served, even though I was sitting in the middle of the cabin because they started in the front, they started in the back, and they came to the middle where I was. And I wasn't a particularly happy camper at that point because I was so hungry, but they more than made up for it in the quality and the taste of the food. The amount was amazing. The quality was amazing. I remember it being a beef and rice dish. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. I haven't even gone back and looked at the footage yet, but I know it's on this list because I remember that flight. I remember it was a good meal, and darn it, it's gonna be here on my list at number 3. So what the heck is going on with Turkish Airlines? I have no idea, but if you want good economy class food, you gotta give them a try. Coming in at number 2 is one that I think all my regular viewers thought was gonna be number 1. Even I thought I was gonna be number 1 too. So I'm trying to be as fair and objective as possible. And when I think back of all my flying over the years, this was definitely not the number 1 meal that I've ever eaten on an airplane, but it was pretty darn close. And can you guess what it is? I'll give you a second. I think you all know it is AirAsia chicken and rice on the flight from Penang to Kuala Lumpur just several months ago. Still, thinking back on that, it blows me away even more than the Turkish Airlines meal that I just described to you because think about it. AirAsia is a low-cost carrier. I think I paid under $100 for that flight, and I paid a little bit extra for the meal. I think it was maybe $11 or $12, but it was amazing. It was the most amazing economy class, low-cost carrier, whatever meal that I've ever eaten. And I don't know what they put in it. It was probably loaded with MSG and all kinds of stuff, but it was good. It was really good. MSG, chicken fat, whatever. I guess I really don't care what they had to put in it to make it taste that way, but it worked and it was delicious. And next time I fly AirAsia, I'm definitely going to do that again. Just completely amazing. By the way, this is a perfect opportunity to give a shout out to my buddy Neil from the Moments in the Sky YouTube channel. And do me a favor, go over to his channel, pick any one of his videos, and tell him you want to see more chicken and rice content in his footage. I'm sure he's gonna love that. If he's not watching this video and he starts getting those kind of messages, I think it's gonna be funny. So yeah, let's all go over to Neil's channel and start requesting some chicken and rice. Okay, so this is it. This is the big one. My number 1 airline meal that I've ever eaten in all my years of flying, well over 1 million miles, Starlux A321neo business class from Taipei to Penang several months ago. It was actually on the same trip as the AirAsia flight. So yeah, I ate pretty well on that trip. And let me just say this. The meal in itself was very, very good. Maybe not quite as good as the AirAsia chicken rice, I need to say that properly. But it was better for 2 reasons. Number 1, the quality was restaurant level, totally. Again, just like the Japan Airlines meal that I mentioned earlier, this tasted incredibly fresh. Like they prepared it from scratch up in the galley. Everything was perfectly cooked. It was a beef noodle bowl with a side of pate and breads and condiments. And I would have paid 20 bucks for this in a restaurant somewhere, even more maybe. And the thing that made this entire meal even better was the fact that the cabin crew was totally on point. They were incredibly energetic, very helpful, and when they put the tray down in front of me, they didn't just put it down, but she took her time to explain everything on the tray, how to eat it, and it was the exact same kind of experience that I would have expected to get in a restaurant, in a good restaurant, anywhere in the world, and it was memorable for those 2 reasons. And I really hope Starlux survives because they have got an incredible business class product. I know they've got a long, tough road ahead of them going up against EVA Air and so many other great carriers in the region, and especially with this whole COVID-19 thing going on, but if they can make it, they're going to be awesome. They're going to be one of the strongest airlines in that region, and I wish them nothing but the best because that was a delicious meal with a really, really good cabin crew. Okay, wait, before you go, I have one more for you as an extra bonus. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send you over to Facebook to get that one. And trust me, it's gonna be worth your time because I remember it being so good, and I remember it being one of the best airline meals that I've ever eaten at the time. And I remember getting back and posting images all over social media, and people were like, that looks disgusting. But I stand by it to this day. It was excellent. Even if you think it's disgusting, I thought it was excellent. So head on over to Facebook, check it out. Let me know what you think. See you over there. So there you have it. That is the list of the top 5 airline meals that I've ever eaten in my life. And again, just like last week, I want to know what your thoughts are. Tell me down in the comment section below what your best airline meals were. And I'm telling you what, I loved some of the disgusting airline meals that you mentioned in the comments of my last video. Some of you guys have obviously been through a lot, and it was really fun reading through all those comments. So I'm looking forward to it again. Anyway, that's it for this video. But before I go, I just want to give a huge shout out to all my patrons. You guys and gals are amazing. I say this every week, and believe me, I don't even know what to say or how to convey my feelings of thanks and gratitude towards you and the support that you're giving me. And really, thank you so much to Joshua Bedel and Riley Wingo and everyone else. Thanks so much for watching, and more importantly, thanks for watching all the way through to the end. I really appreciate it because I know it takes a lot of energy and strength to get here. Anyway, you did it. I thank you. You're awesome, and I'll catch you in the next one.